One man could change the world.
So I had my first girlfriend in middle school. You know, your boy was a player back in the day. Not really. What started the whole thing was I was walking to class and this little group of girls were walking in the opposite direction, and one of the girls, the main girl in the middle, was like, "Hi boyfriend, hi boyfriend." We walked past each other and I was like, "Oh, what's up?" The day went on, the day ended, went to my oldest brother and he was hanging out with his first girlfriend. They were like teenagers, and I went to my oldest brother and I said, "Bro, I got a girlfriend." And he was just like, "Aha. Oh yeah, what's her name?" I was like, oh shit, I don't even know her name. I think a good 2 days went by, but then I finally saw her sitting down at lunch, and I walked over and I was just like, I was like, "By the way, what's your name?" And she was like, "Oh, my name's Stephanie." I was like, "Oh, okay." I literally took out a piece of paper, I ripped off like a little tiny piece, and I wrote down Stephanie, her name, because I knew that I would forget it by the end of the day. But at the end of the day, I went to my oldest brother. I was just like, "Hi, motherfucker, her name is Stephanie." I was like, "She's real." We'd be like, "Hi, boyfriend, hi, boyfriend." And like, it was like confusing hell to me. So I started to like avoid her at all cost. And it just like went around, like months went around. And then I finally, you know, graduated. And that kind of relationships just kind of like sizzled out. And she was like an ugly little thing. She looked like a fucking bulldog. Like she wasn't even pretty. Like I didn't even like her like that. But she initiated the whole thing. But that was my very first girlfriend. My second girlfriend was like a real girlfriend, like an actual girlfriend that I had in high school. I think it was maybe junior year or something like that. And she went to a different school. She was going to Central and I was going to Barstow High School. Let's go ahead and call her Jack. These were way back in the dias. These were way back in the days of Facebook. And I swear, I would like go ahead and go on my little laptop every single day. I'll be like looking pictures of her and I would just be fucking oh! One photo, I remember she took my fucking beanie, my Cali beanie that had like a little bear on it. She took my beanie, she took it home, she took like a picture with it, and I was like, oh. But I remember it was like these people, I remember she was like waiting for me to get out of school, and like, you know, there she was, and like I grabbed her and like I kissed her and everything. Like this little group of people were like, "Ooh," and I was like, "Fuck you, fuck off, man. Like don't look at us." And honestly, I completely forgot how that relationship ended. And I know that it didn't end in like a bad way, because I have like no resentment towards her, I guess. Like I'm not like mad at that at all. And I guess like I think it just kind of fizzled out. You know, I think it just kind of like fizzled out, you know, because like it was like so difficult to like hang out with her. I remember I would have to like message her over Facebook. I was like, "Hey, meet me at the park, and like it was just like, it just got to a point where it was just like, all right, well, that was fun, bye. That was the end of girlfriend number 2. And girlfriend number 3, the last girlfriend that I ever had as of 2024 was like a real, like besides Jack, like this was like a real, actual, legitimate, like adult, like relationship. And she lived in the United Kingdom and I live in the United States. This was when I moved from California to Arizona. And I remember like this girl from the United Kingdom started messaging me over Facebook. And like, obviously in my mind, I know that this was like a fake account. Like I remember she had like 2 pictures on it, and she like recently just started her account. And like it got to a point like where we like messaging back, and I was just like, okay, I was like, stop messaging me, you have a nice day and goodbye. She kept messaging me. She was trying to convince me that she was like a real person. I was just like, okay, go ahead and give me a video message. And like she automatically like gave me a video message. And I remember like looking at her pictures and then like looking at the video, I was just like, oh my God, like this woman is like beautiful. I'm like, what's the catch? Like, what are you doing? And we video messaged like from that point to, I remember, I think it was like exactly like 60 days. From that point to those 60 days, we were like calling each other every single day. And within 60 days of talking to this random stranger, I took a duffel bag, and her family paid for me to go from Arizona, and then go from Arizona to a connecting flight to Alaska, and then from Alaska all the way to the United Kingdom. I get off the plane, right, and like I'm looking for her, and like we're like calling each other, and like it's like getting to this point where like I'm about to like meet her for the first time, and like my heart is like pounding like so fast. And like I remember like in like one of those cheesy romantic old films, like I come around the corner and like I see her, and literally it was just like literally I just saw her, and like everything else was like blurry, and like literally like I drop my bags and like I walk over to her and like I give her a kiss, and like it was like so natural, like it felt so good. And like it's like the craziest thing to like, you know, you see a person for the first time in person and like you kiss them. Like it was such like a magical moment. And then obviously, you know, like I pick up my bags again, and like I'm holding her hand, and like we walk over and I meet her family for the very first time. And like it was like a little bit awkward at first, because like it was the mother and the father, and like obviously they're from the United Kingdom, you know, they're still together. It was the younger brother, and then her sister, she wasn't there at the time, she was like at school or some shit like that. And like it was super weird to be in the United Kingdom for the very first time, because, you know, I'm sitting in the back with her, and like the dad is driving, and the driver's seat to the car is on the opposite side, and we're driving on the opposite side of the road. And like it was like so weird, it was like so surreal. And obviously like we get to her house, right? You know, we get to her house, and then like I situate myself, you know, like, and I'm like hanging out in her room. And like it was like me and her was like on the bed, and it was like the weirdest vibe, because like the mom was like at the door, and she was like looking at us, and she was like, "Aw," and like that would be cool if like she just kind of looked at us, like closed the door and then left. But I remember she just stood there for like a good 15 minutes, and I was just like, I was like, this is very, very uncomfortable for me, because I'm in a different country for the very first time, and I'm trying to smash your daughter, and you're not leaving. So eventually they drop us off at a hotel, which was very, very nice. So it's like finally it's just me and her. It's just me and her with nobody else around to be like looking at us. And we get to our hotel room, and I remember like this was like so new to me. And like I'm not gonna lie, okay, I'm not a player, man. I'm not that guy, pal. Like literally, like I was like so nervous, and then she was like so kind, and she sucked me off for the very first time, man. And oh my God, I remember I came so hard, like I almost hit the ceiling. Like I was like fucking and then after that, you know, like we take a shower and all that, and then we go out, and then we leave the hotel room, we check out, and I remember we went to Stonehenge, and I got to see Stonehenge for the very first time, and it was like so amazing. And what happened with that relationship is that she came to the United States about 5 different times, in person, and they paid for everything. I never paid for her to come over, which was kind of messed up. But I remember when she came to the United States, I took her from Arizona, and I took her on a mega vacation. I brought her to the Grand Canyon. We went and saw the Grand Canyon, and from the Grand Canyon, we drove all the way to my parents so she could meet my parents. And then I took her up to the Hollywood sign in California, and we walked all the way to the top, and I proposed to her. I said, "Will you marry me?" And she, of course, she said yes. And then we walked back down. We said, all right, goodbye to mom and dad. And then we drove all the way from California to Nevada to Las Vegas. And then in Las Vegas, I remember we were just pounding it out. We were fucking like, I remember in one day, I think we fucked like 4 different times in like one day, which was pretty nice. And then we were like, walking the strip and everything. And then we drive from Nevada all the way back to Arizona to where I was living with my ex-best friend and all them. And then I drop her off at the airport, and then she goes back to the United Kingdom. And that's where everything started to go downhill in my life, because the people who I was living with, my best friend, they decided to kick me out, which was kind of messed up. But while I was in Arizona, I very quickly bought a Honda Civic, so I had to live in my Honda Civic. And I remember the very first night of experiencing being homeless, it was like so cold that I literally thought my freaking toes were gonna fall off. Like, I remember it was like so cold that night. I was like, yes, Arizona is very, very hot, but it also gets very, very cold. And like, it was like so painful. And I remember the very first night I woke up to a fucking train horn, because it was this tow truck, because I parked up in like a random dirt lot, and like it was like this tow truck parked in front of my car. And I guess they didn't decide to look into the car before they called the tow truck to, take my car away. But then they realized I was in the car, so they hit the train horn on the tow truck, and which like scared the living hell out of me. And like, I wake up and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm sorry. And then like they moved the tow truck out of the way of my car, and then like I move over to like right next door, and like it was super difficult, man. But like, thankfully, like I was like talking to her, and she was like talking to me. And I remember the next time that she came from the United Kingdom to the United States, I was finally like starting to get on my feet, because I was still going to like work and everything like that. So me and her, we went and looked at an apartment. I got approved for an apartment, and I got back on my feet. She went back to the United Kingdom, and then it got to a point where like my mother-in-law was like pushing so hard for marriage. Oh, when are you guys getting married? When are you guys getting married? Like, when me and your father, it was literally like the next day, like, when are you guys getting married? Is he getting cold feet? He proposed to you, this and that. And it was so stressful for me, being like 20 years old, being like tied down, like I've never even been to a strip club before. Like, come on, man. Like, literally, like, and I'm being like pressured to like, so like, when are we getting married? And then it got to the point where it was so sad, because literally she really was like my soulmate. Like, she literally, like, I could feel that she actually loved me. Like, she actually like loved me. But it got to a point where like I had to hit an ultimatum in my life of like I broke up for her the very last time, and and my lease for my apartment was up. And I remember just, breaking up with her, leaving my apartment, quitting my job, and then like having this huge ultimatum of like, I was just like, bro, you're gonna die one day. And then like going out in my Honda Civic and traveling to 48 states, from Arizona to Utah, all the way up to New York, up to Maine, and back around. And do I regret the decision of not getting married? It's like, absolutely not, because like, it's just like, I still have like so many adventures to go on, and like so much stuff to do with my life, that it's crazy to think that right now I would have kids. Like, right now, if we got married, either I would have came over there and we would have gotten married, or she would have came over here and most likely I wouldn't be making YouTube videos anymore. I probably would just be working a job. We would probably be working on getting a house. We would definitely already have kids. The other two girls that I didn't mention, those weren't girlfriends, but those were sexual encounters. But I remember like when I was 17, I was like 17 3/4, just about to become an adult. Like this girl, she brought me into the bathroom and like I smashed her, and I remember she was saying, "Oh, Paul, you're so big, you're a monster," and like I was like, you know, fucking her, and it's just like my dick was not getting hard. Like I was like only like half chub, and I was just like, you know, I was like trying to get hard in it. I remember she was telling me, she said this, she was just like, come in me, come in me, come in me, which would have like given her a baby. I would have gotten her pregnant. It's like, oh my God, Paul got her. Like she was a known whore, obviously. Like she just pulled me into the bathroom, but that went nowhere. And then also this other white chick with triple D's. Like I didn't put my dick in her vagina, but I remember one night she sucked me off so good. It was like maybe like an hour or something. Like, oh, it was so good. And other than that, with all those, besides, you know, the whore and then the triple D's, those are like my only sexual encounters that I've ever had. So I'm still like a baby out this bitch. So I'm like wondering, like once I get like a 6-pack and like get like fit and everything, like am I just gonna go and like run through a whole bunch of whores? Who knows, but stay tuned.
Are we from paradise?